Recently, my granddaughter and I launched the Dream Big Kitchen. And yes, she ate way too much cookie dough. The kids helped, which means the process took 3 times as long and created 10 times the mess. But years from now, they're not going to remember that I had to clean up afterward. They'll remember the smell of cookies baking in the oven, the outtakes when Tommy stubbed his toe while videotaping, and we took the time to bandage it up while filming, and how we laughed at all the mistakes. A listener wrote in, "Everything you said is so true, and if they want to help, you should let them. Yes, it takes longer to make and clean up, but they love doing it with us." Laurel wrote that she and her grandson went on a walk and collected items to make a shadow box with. He made me make a video of him telling a story he made up about his shadow box. It's all about the memories. You're absolutely right, Laurel. And in honor of that wonderful experience, we're launching the Grand Challenge. So the 750% gap is real, but it doesn't have to be your family's destiny. We're gamifying the motherboard to bring our partners and grandkids back into the center of the mission. Are you ready to bridge the gap? Download your 10-hour mission log and join the Grand Challenge right here in the link in the show notes. Who are you teaming up with for your first mission? Write in and let us know. What does your work as an invisible CEO look like 20 years down the road? Today we're joined by Kevin Lowe, an inspirational speaker, podcaster, and musician who lost his sight at age 17. Kevin isn't a grandparent. He is the living return on investment of a grandmother's love. He's here to tell us how Nana's house transformed from a place of dependency into a launchpad for a life without limits. If you've ever wondered if the little things you're doing today actually matter, this episode is your answer. Welcome to Grandparents Raising Grandchildren, Nurturing Through Adversity. In this podcast, we will delve deep into the challenges and triumphs of grandparents raising grandchildren. As we navigate the complexities of legal, financial, and emotional support, I invite you to join us on a journey of exploring thoughts, feelings, and beliefs surrounding this growing segment of our society. Drawing from real stories and expert advice, we will explore the nuances of child rearing for children who have experienced trauma and offer valuable resources to guide you through the intricate journey of kinship care. We'll discuss how we can change the course of history by rewriting our grandchildren's future, all within a supportive community that understands the unique joys and struggles. This podcast was made especially for you. Welcome to a community where your voice is heard, your experiences are valued, and your journey is honored. There are days in this kinship journey where I feel like I'm pouring into a cup with a hole in the bottom. I worry that the trauma, the medical hurdles, and the sheer dailiness of this life will swallow my grandchildren whole. Then I met Kevin. Hearing him talk about the nightly phone call he still makes to his goat, his Nana, 22 years later, it broke me. It reminded me that we aren't just getting through the day. We are building the training grounds for a future we might not even see yet. Kevin's song, More Than a Grandmother, is the anthem every person in this community needs to hear.
Technically, you're my grandmother, but that word never fit you right. Most everyone calls you Nana, but to me you're gold for life. said yes to Jesus, you were there to lead the way. Middle school mornings full of love and grace, coffee, laughter, taking time, cinnamon rolls and homemade donuts, chocolate chips and pancakes piled high, biscuits warm and gravy. You fed my body, fed my soul, and instilled in me a faith that would carry me through the night. You've always been my safe place, my shelter when storms roll through. When life changed fast and the world broke loose, your love still pulled me through. You're the cornerstone that never moved, my North Star shining true. God gave me more than a grandmother, He gave me a friend in you.
Kevin, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. It is an absolute pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you about your life and your work, and I absolutely love your music. Kevin, you're not a grandparent, but you are the living return on investment of a grandmother's love. You went from a sighted teenager to a blind 17-year-old being dropped off at your Nana's house every morning. And you told me that even now, 22 years later, you still call her every night. That's awesome.
Yes. I always say, we can't always control what happens in life, but we can always control how we respond to it. And
Yeah.
For me, the positive is that relationship I got to build with my grandmother.
And it's really difficult because for many of us grandparents that are raising grandchildren, it's tough for us to remember how much we matter. And you've captured this bond in a way that most of us really struggle to find words for. But you wrote a song that brings me to tears still every time I listen to it, because it reminds me of my value to these kids we're working with. And that's why I wanted you to come on the show, because it's an inspiration and we need that. Our job is so tough. Let's talk about how your Nana's house transformed from a place of dependency to a launch pad for resilience for you, Kevin.
Yeah. That's a great starting point. So, Nana and Papa's house was always, it's always been home. Throughout my childhood, there were times when I actually lived there with my mom and sister, like when my parents first got divorced. And it was just home. And then as life went on, and as you mentioned, when I unexpectedly became blind when I was 17, still in high school, that was caused by a brain tumor. Nana's house, it took on a whole new meaning, and it now became school. It became training grounds. It became a place of healing. So literally, my mom would go back to like I was a little kid getting dropped off at Nana's house, and literally there, we had teachers who would come to the house and sit in the dining room with me and my Nana, working with me, and it literally was the launch pad into a new chapter of life.
Well, and many of us are doing that exact same thing for our grandchildren. We are helping them heal.
Yes.
So at one point in your life, perhaps not when you were 17, I'm sure that was a very challenging time for you, and you might have been resentful of having to go through all the things that a normal 17-year-old might not have to do. But looking back, your relationship with your grandparents were so significant, and you still have this monthly date with Janny, your paternal grandmother. Looking back, Tell us about what you feel the significance of that relationship was so we can share that with the other grandparents that are listening.
Yeah, 100%. So I've been very fortunate in the fact that I've got to have relationships with both my mom's parents and my dad's parents. And so Nana and Papa. Nana is the one who I would get dropped off at her house. She was the one who I stayed with. And then my dad's mom, who we call Janie, she's the one who I have the standing monthly lunch date with.
That's great.
That me and her get together, and has been also equally amazing because I've got to know her truly kind of the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Because she worked while I was a kid, she worked. And so we didn't really know my dad's parents as well as we have with Nancy.
Feel is the significance of the intergenerational part of what you got from your grandpa?
I feel like all of us can learn the most from the generations above us. It's no secret that if you want to learn something, you should probably seek advice from somebody who's been there before you. And so for me, my grandparents, they are that generation ahead. They are the people who have been there. And we may think as grandchildren that our grandparents don't understand, that they don't get life today. But honestly, they have the most wisdom to give. And so for me, just who they are, what they've done for me, it's meant everything.
And don't you think that that's something that you can look back on and appreciate it more now than you did at the time? I think everything that we do may not be appreciated now, but at some point in the future, long after we're gone, our legacy is part of their lives. Your grandparents' legacy will always be part of your life.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I mean, that is the truth. I mean, as kids, you don't understand it. They're just Nana and Papa. It's just Janie and Papa Lowe.
Right.
You don't understand it until you get older and you gain that wisdom. And you can look back and really appreciate it. And honestly, like for myself, I feel so blessed that I've got to come to that understanding, that realization, and been able to express how much they mean to me while they are still here. Because I think all too often, a lot of times in life, it's after somebody's passed away that it really hits us. And so for myself, getting to have this realization, express it, and allow that to take my relationship with my grandparents to another level is an absolute blessing.
Yes. That nightly phone call is really the ultimate metric of success for your grandparents.
Yeah.
So besides being a custom music production service, I love how you said it though, you utilize technology to turn words into music. And what I think is lovely is that through the use of artificial intelligence, you take these beautiful songs that you write, and they are beautiful. What do you not only do that, but you have your podcast, Great Grace and Inspiration, which we will provide links for in our show notes. But you're an inspirational speaker. You say that our past does not define us, but it is part of us, which is important. We spoke about this earlier when I speak to my grandchildren who have had a horrible past and lots of challenges as special education kids. They have to be told that all the time, and that's why I wanted our grandparents as well as the grandchildren to hear your story. Your disability has become your superpower.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that to be true.
And tell us when you understood that. It must not have been something that you thought about when you were 17, but when did you realize that was a superpower for you? Kids on the spectrum have the most imaginative minds. They can say the silliest things. On the other hand, my world can get way too serious. Sometimes the best thing to do is get on the train with them. Here's another fun self-care tip with Jeanette Yates.
This next strategy is something I've had to adopt as my mom has become more confused. She has a few hallucinations. She's not always connected with the reality I am in. And I have started asking more questions about where she is in her reality or what she is experiencing. So I will, ask more questions. So the other day, she imagined that she was on a train ride. I was actually not me, her daughter. I was a train employee. So she was telling me her thoughts about the train ride, asking me how long I had worked for the train. So I answered that question. But then I didn't know what to say because, I'm not really a train person. So instead of me answering the questions, I started asking her, what do you like most about the train? What do you see outside the window? How, are you comfortable in your seat? These are things. And I just found that when possible, if we can get into the mindset of the person that we're caring for, if it's safe for us to do so, sometimes it's not, then we can allow ourselves to see things through their eyes. And it provides more empathy, but also in the case of this situation, some levity and some fun because she's telling me all about this amazing train trip. And I happen to know the woman has never been on a train in her life. So she is imagining the most beautiful, exciting train ride ever. And I get to be on it with her. And that is a great blessing and fun activity. And you get to, we have to ride the roller coaster of caregiving that's up and down and all around and scary as crap sometimes. But sometimes we get to ride on a train and it's nice and beautiful and fun. And so hop on the train if you can. It's my advice today.
If you want to learn more about Jeanette, go to her website at theselfcaregiver.com. She's got a great new book coming out and a wonderful podcast, From Guilt to Good. If you enjoy our fun little self-care tips, leave us a review on our website or on the podcast, and be sure to tell us which one was your favorite.
Honestly, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, we're going to say, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Recent. I mean, I've been blind now for 22 years. For the first 10 years, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was indeed a real life nightmare that I could not wake up from. My Nana was a huge role in getting me through it. I cannot underline that statement enough. And then, as I said, it honestly wasn't until I think I started my podcast, which was started back in 2020, when I finally, for the first time, realized that I could take this disability and realize, oh, it's not a disability. It's my ability. It is my own unique superpower to get to hear people at a different level. And it was through my podcast and the people who I would interview. I kept having my guests on the podcast. They kept telling me things like, they're like, you see parts of me in my story that no one else sees. Or I remember interviewing a lady one day and she told me afterwards, she's like, the way in which you see my story, she said, no one's asked me those kind of questions except for my therapist. And I realized then, this is my superpower. Getting to use that superpower to just understand people on a deeper level. So I guess that is how I've gotten to personally feel like I could use my disability as a superpower.
Wow, that is amazing. But I'll bet when you were 17 and your grandmother was encouraging you when you were struggling for those next 10 years, she probably had to tell you over and over and over and over again and lift you up every single time you fell emotionally to the floor.
Yeah. I mean, back then, nobody better had told me that my blindness was going to be a superpower. Because 100%, I mean, my life, it was destroyed. in my eyes. And it took a long time to understand that it wasn't destroyed. It just entered a new chapter.
What did she tell you when you came home crying from some heartbreaking experience?
Yeah. For Nana, it wasn't ever anything specifically that she said.
Yeah.
What Nana did was she did something really amazing that I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know this, learned this till years and years later. But her whole goal was to help me to have fun. She wanted me to get to laugh and to get to smile and to get to have fun and not have to worry about everything I was going through.
How hard it was.
And so literally that was her mission. And so that is why my grandmother would come up with all kind of crazy things that we would do when I would be at her house. I mean, we would play hide and seek. I mean, she would literally run it and I'd try to chase and find her. And we just had fun. We literally had fun.
That's awesome.
And I mean, the two of us, we would go out for the day exploring. My Nana, she would always get us lost driving around town. And thank goodness for me, even though I went blind, I still had a very good sense of where everything was. And so, as we would joke that I would have to tell Nana how to get me to blind school, when she would get lost. So, yes.
I love it.
Yes.
She sounds like she had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, tremendous. Yeah.
And does she still?
She does. I pull it out of her if nothing else. I mean, as long as we can remember, I call her Goat. I don't even call her Nana. Everybody else calls her Nana. I always call her Goat. And so that has remained her most famous nickname of all is Goat. So
I love it. What a great relationship.
Oh, tremendous.
So you've used music to process your journey with your Nana, your Papa and Janny, actually, because I know you have several songs about your grandparents you shared with me.
Yes.
For the grandmother listening who feels like her work is invisible, tell me how you believe storytelling or song has helped turn those moments into lasting legacies.
Yeah. For me, the songs that I'm able to create, they say the things that I don't feel like I can get across by just talking to somebody. So for my grandparents, I'm able to share the stories, the little things that they've always done that maybe they think is insignificant. And yet for the grandson, it's everything. Because as I always say, the little things truly are the big things. And so through music, I'm able to express all those little feelings, to share little pieces of all these stories, of all these memories, things that sometimes, in the songs that I've written for them, they've forgotten about. And so to get to play them a song that I've made for them and to watch them both laugh and then cry and everything all at once and all inside of a single song, it's amazing.
Yeah, music is magical.
It is.
Well, thank you for sharing those intimate moments. They, I think, will matter to a lot of grandparents that are listening today. I want to ask you 3 questions that I'm asking everyone that I interview these days. I want to ask a systematic question. I also ask you a taboo question and a policy question. The systematic question that I have for you is, looking back at your transition at 17, what do you think was the biggest blind spot in the medical system that you experienced in helping you with your social adaptations? Like, did the system help you or hinder you?
Well, so I have 2 aspects of how I would answer that question. Two different scenarios. What caused me to go blind was a brain tumor that should have been diagnosed when I was very young. Instead, the pediatrician who I had never explored all the health issues I dealt with as a child. I wasn't growing like a normal kid. I had migraine headaches every single day of my life. My mom would tell the doctor, say, he drinks more than anyone you've ever seen. I mean, every single night, I didn't know what a night's sleep was because I would literally wake up every single hour to use the bathroom, get a drink of water, go back to bed, wake up the next hour, use the bathroom, get a drink of water. And so I had all these medical issues and all of them were missed. So when we finally found the brain tumor, it was so big, it had caused so much damage that's, why I ended up becoming blind.
Wow. Those signs that you were experiencing should have been an indication that something was going on.
Yes, absolutely. Then the other is when I had my brain surgery, going blind was not expected whatsoever. And so when I came out of surgery and when I finally woke up, it was a complete shock. I mean, I woke up to be left completely blind. I had all these many health complications that we were not expecting to happen. And so, I mean, when I went into the surgery to have the brain tumor removed, I was told I'd be back to school in 3 weeks. I stayed in the ICU for 2 weeks.
Wow.
None of which do I remember. I don't have any memory after going into the operating room until quite some time later on being back home. But, my mom talks about the situation in the hospital. They, at that point, what happened was so crazy. They were literally questioning whether or not they felt like I could go home with my family. They felt like they needed to put me somewhere. They were going to take me away from my parents.
So, wow, that's
my
scary
mom,
for a child.
And my mom was the one who had to stand up and be like, no, like, we will take care of him. We will figure this out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I went blind in 2003. It wasn't like this was like in ancient times. And yet that was kind of how it was reacted to. And
interesting.
Thank goodness I had an amazing family who, was there to advocate for me and fight for me and, to get me the help that I needed.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So better advocacy for the family would have helped you all a lot at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
What a challenging experience and how well your family handled it. Kudos to your family for being such a wonderful support system. Then I have a taboo question for you.
Okay.
How can a grandparent acknowledge the tragedy that these children we're caring for are going through while still holding the warrior heart that's required for them to move forward?
I think the biggest thing is to realize that the most important thing that you can do for your grandchild is to just be there. You want to fix everything. You want to make it all better. But as we all know, there's only so much any of us can do. And I think the most important thing is to just literally be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great advice because I think from a woman's standpoint, we're always trying to fix things.
Yes.
Not all of us. I'm speaking generally. Okay, these are generalizations.
Yes.
Thanks, Kevin.
Of course.
Last question. Excuse me. If you were the COO of this country, Kevin, how would you incorporate resilience mentorship, connecting grandparents with grandchildren like yourself, and encouraging the multi-generational aspect of relationships?
Wow. I think the way that I would implement that is I think back to being in school and I remember being in elementary school and we would go on field trips. And they were days when you got to go out and you had fun. You loved it. You got out of school for the day. You would go to different parks or, do different experiences. Well, to me, an amazing opportunity that would be to make it part of the curriculum of school, of that kids, you have to spend the day with your grandparents doing something. And even if it's an organized field trip, well, instead of just having grandparents' day, like we used to have in elementary school, where your grandparents would come to school, instead, they actually go with the child on the field trip and get to just, again, be there with the grandchild, to just get to experience life is what I think would be amazing.
Yeah, encouraging multi-generational family. We spend so much time educating children about history, but we don't spend as much time encouraging the simple experience of families being with extended families. Of course, it's hard to do that because of the distance, but it's amazing what you can do, I've found, with technology now. We actually play games online with our extended families that we can't be with. These kids, it allows them to be a part of that. There's so much you can do nowadays that the field trip might not have to be a physical field trip. It could be an online field trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was thinking as you were talking about that is, it's probably why, to me, I think it's always been so meaningful. Family reunions.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just something that we do in the South, but
Yeah.
is the good just family reunion it's not always easy to gather everybody together, but when it works, boy, is it special.
Yes, it is. And there are many different ways we could do that. And doing that as part of the classroom and part of our education is a great idea.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. Your ideas are wonderful. And yes, your insight is fabulous. I agree with whoever it was that told you that.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Kevin, for being on the show. I'm looking forward to being a closer friend and connection, and I'll look forward to more conversations in the future.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. So I thank you in the most sincere way possible for having me.
You're welcome. Kevin shared something with us that I think is very profound. The little things are truly the big things. His Nana didn't have a medical degree or a manual on blindness. She just had a mission to make him laugh when his world went dark. Ask yourself today, am I so focused on fixing the tragedy that I've forgotten to facilitate the fun? Your grandchild might not appreciate the operational excellence of your home today, but 20 years from now, they will remember the person who sat on the floor and played hide and seek in the dark. Now let's listen to the end of that beautiful song.
You drive us all to school each day and pick us up again. Sometimes early when the nurse would call, or I just needed a friend. I'd curl up in that big old bed, that one quilt pulled up tight. Price is Right and Golden Girls, afternoons it felt alright. I had a truck, a job, a future. Thought I had life mapped out, and everything I thought I was came crashing straight down. Back to getting dropped off by my mom. Blind school on the way. My life fell into pieces, but God gave me you as a sign of His grace. You were my safe place, my refuge when I didn't know what to do. Those were the hardest years of my life, and somehow the best ones too. You stayed the same when nothing did, a cornerstone pulled through. You gave your days to give me joy, just so I'd be okay. You'd hide from me, I'd chase you down, laughing through the halls. You get lost driving on familiar roads, I'd calm you through it all. We drove in circles, found new towns, stores we'd never seen. We weren't lost, we were living somewhere in between. You're still my safe place, my constant. I still call every night. God took away my sight. He left me with your light. He didn't just give me a grandmother. He gave me a best friend for life.
Don't forget to download this song in the links to the show notes and give Kevin a big thumbs up. Join us next week as we sit down with Nancy Lassiter. Nancy has spent years as a high-stakes trial lawyer, professional painter, and long-distance hiker, but her most profound work lies in her novels about the courage it takes to be human. Her work, specifically for her novel Farmer's Son, provides a practical map for understanding how labels, secrets, and family misunderstandings can shape and sometimes break generations. We'll be discussing how to protect the legal and emotional fortress of your home and how to dismantle the family scripts that no longer serve our mission. We are 2.7 million strong, still nurturing and still here. We are the training grounds for resilience, the keepers of the nightly phone call, and the architects of a legacy that outlives the crisis. Keep nurturing, keep leading, and I'll see you in the next boardroom. I recently received an email from a listener named Laurel. At 61, Laurel and her husband, who's navigating his own health challenges, are now raising their grandson after a series of unimaginable losses. In 2022, they lost their son to a fentanyl overdose. Then just a year ago, they lost their daughter the same way. The morning after, they'd stayed up late together planning her son's 3rd birthday party. Laurel told me that she lives one day at a time. She's dealing with the financial strain of using her 401k to survive, the physical toll of caregiving, and the emotional weight of what ifs. But she also said something that I want everyone listening to hear. She said that just telling her story to people who can relate is refreshing. That's exactly why we do this. Whether you're navigating addiction in your family, raising a grandchild you didn't expect to be raising, or just trying to find your footing after a loss, we need to hear your story. There's always someone else out there who needs to hear that they aren't the only one. Your experience is a lifeline for someone else. So if you have a story to share, or if you're looking for that community Laurel found, please join our Facebook group or sign up for our newsletter on our website at grandparents-raising-grandchildren.org. Let's keep relating and let's make sure no one walks this path in silence. Thank you, Laurel, for your courage to share your story with others.